something that's going on right now with COVID, right? Students are deciding whether or not they got accepted to college. Do they want to go to college knowing that there's a good chance that they're going to be sent home, that it's going to be virtual, that it won't be the same thing as to what they expected. So let's say they are going to college. So people are choosing. And that gap year then allows them, like you were saying, to explore other things. That gap year might turn into 2 years or 3 years or forever, right? They might go to community college. Who knows what they're going to do? They may say, wait, I like this. I don't need that anymore because I'm realizing that might not get me to where I want to go because I've discovered these new things about myself. How are you seeing people handle this now? Because we're going to start getting into like what you're doing today. But that gap year that we're dealing with, and not even the gap year, the pandemic that we're dealing with right now, the uncertainty that surrounds it. And for people that are going to college, like you said before, it used to be said, you go to college, you come out, you get a job, you pay your bills, you pay your student loans back. Maybe there's no jobs to be had for those types of students. What do you think about just the gap year and the pandemic and everything that's going on today as it relates to your thought process? Because I think there's an incredible timing that you have with your podcast and your thought process around, yeah, this is something that I'm actually going to take seriously now because I don't know if college, even if it was the right place for me, I don't know if it is anymore because of all that's going on in the world.
I think it's kind of like the things that happen to you where it forces your hand on making a decision. So maybe treat it as if you just graduated from college. You still have no idea what you want to do. You have 6 months ahead of you before you have to pay rent or something like really, really like need to be taken care of. What are you going to do every day, right? Who do you want to work for? How are you going to get paid? How are you going to get experience, right? Like just treat it as if you literally had a bachelor degree and it's not opening any doors. What are you going to do?
You're talking to, let's say, late middle school, early high school kid. They're early, right? They're not there yet, but they're starting to think about these things. They're starting to think about going forward from there. And not necessarily about college, but you haven't been there not that long ago. What advice would you give to someone in that age group about what they should be working on? Because they get frustrated, not all of them, but it's all over the place, that they get frustrated with what they're learning. They get frustrated that the system's broken. They start listening to what other people are saying and they're not, it's a mixed bag, right? Of course, some people love it. What advice would you give to someone in that age group and grades around all of this and what they should be focusing on?
I think that actually I had this discussion with my friend the other day. I think that for those people who have all those questions, right? I think that every one of those kids should think about having a podcast where they can interview adults or other kids who have figured it out and they're doing their research. They are shaping their social skills. They are shaping their networking skills. And they're able to build a brand and asset and content that can be used in the future. Or even if they're not sharing it aloud or to the whole internet, at least they're able to connect with people that are outside of the circle of school, which is self-imposed network, right? By connecting with people who are across the world, connected with some interests, who maybe be 1 or 2 steps ahead of them, and be able to ask them the question of how did you become the person you are today? And that is the art of documenting that you know so much, Eric, is you don't need to be the content creator. You can just be the person that documents and crowdsource information from someone else who has information that you want to share to the world. And for those kids who have those questions, like it'll be a good productive way for them to be able to record it, to learn from them, and potentially even get paid to learn. Because if they're sponsored by a company that targets kids or something like that, they might get paid or it might build up to something. Or even if they do this at the end of the day, I want to join a school, I want to get into college. Them saying that I have a podcast on their resume makes them stand out so much among the other kids. So much. At least you have a story to tell that other kids would almost never have.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I wasn't thinking that's what you were going to say. You're so right on because I believe that so many businesses, I feel like if you don't have a voice as a company, forget a child or anybody, then what do you have? Because now if you have a podcast, I can listen to how you think. I can get behind the scenes of like what's going on because we all want transparency. We don't want to be lied to. And I can understand how you sound. And it might go one way or the other. I might not like it. Well, that's okay because guess what? I was going to learn one way or the other that I didn't like what you stood for. So we don't have to waste time on that. But you're so right because that podcast becomes your resume, your content online, your social media, all those different things are it's just your background check, right? It's just how we get to learn a little bit about you. And the earlier you started off, the better it is. And like you said, it's leverage to have a conversation like we're having right now. If you can use that as leverage in a genuine way, and I've said this before, man, you can create so many things. And then you get the side benefits of that. side benefits of becoming a better communicator, of asking better questions, of becoming a better listener. And then the tech that goes on with perhaps you want to edit your own podcast. Well, guess what? There's a bunch of people out there that are going to be starting podcasts. They're going to need someone perhaps to help edit the podcast. So there's so many things that can come from it. And it's like you said before, explore your interest. What if you just love that? What if you just want to do that? Well, awesome. And then there's things that you still need to learn from school. You need to learn how to read. You need to learn how to write. You need to learn how to do math. You need to like all the science. There's certain things that you get to explore and dive into. So no, I think that's an amazing idea. And I agree with it. I would encourage anyone really to start a podcast, no matter what the age is. And I do strongly believe that if you don't have a voice, that it's going to be a struggle going forward because we all want to hear what you have to say.
I'm Eric Kasimov, and for all of us here at CatSource, thank you for listening to Content Matters. If you'd like to connect, you can find me on LinkedIn or Twitter. That's it for now.